What's going on, Flix Talkers? This is David and welcome back to another Flix Talk movie review. Now this time it's for the 2019 film Hellboy. Is it a sequel? Is it a prequel? Is it a total remake, guys? In this review, we'll talk all of that and so much more, guys. But this movie did come out April 12th, 2019, and it does clock in at 2 hours, and it's an action-adventure fantasy. Now, this film is directed by Neil Marshall, someone that I didn't really know too much about other than The Descent, which was a really cool movie, and he also did Doomsday, which I thought was a cool concept movie, but didn't execute too well. And this film does star David Harbour as Hellboy, Mila Jovovich as the Blood Queen, and Ian McShane as Professor Broom and also Hellboy's father. Now a quick synopsis of the film is: based on the graphic novels by Mike Mignola, Hellboy, caught between the worlds of the supernatural and human, battles an ancient sorcery bent on revenge. Alright guys, now my initial plan was to go back and watch the original Hellboy and the sequel, The Golden Army, but unfortunately time got away from me and I didn't get a chance to watch that, so I kind of went into this movie with fresh eyes, not seeing those movies in like over 10 years. I didn't really know too much about the Dark Horse Comics story of Hellboy, so it was kind of cool seeing that world unfold once again. And don't worry, we get a lot of flashbacks, so we get a lot of explanation and reasoning for all this stuff happening, especially in the beginning. We get a cool, really chopped up, edited how the Blood Queen came to be, her whole reasoning for being killed and ultimately trapped in these boxes so that she can't wreak havoc once again is all explained for you guys, laid out on a silver platter, and you guys can just eat it up on the screen. Also, on a side note, guys, this is not a spoiler review. I'm only talking things that are not pivotal to the plot point, really, or that have already been shown in the trailer. Alright guys, that being said, someone does ultimately want to see the Blood Queen come back, so it's up to Hellboy and his team or division, department, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of their job to make sure that that does not happen. So it's kind of this retold story over and over again. It is a really cool story because you get introduced to this slew of characters that just look gross and demonic and just evil through and through, and that was one thing that kind of kept my interest throughout the whole movie, was the introduction of all these characters, in particular Baba Yaga. Oh my god, that is a menacing, haunting, nightmarish creature that we get to see on screen. It's definitely something out of the Del Toro playbook. If you guys like Pan's Labyrinth and all those creepy creatures, you guys are definitely gonna get them in this film. So a huge like of this for me was the whole lore, the whole story of all these things happening, as well as you get King Arthur's sword, you get a lot of stuff that's going on in medieval times, so you get a lot of, you know, just story just really thrown at you and at a rapid pace. It was really chopped up, and for this movie being over 2 hours, it's weird because you think it would be shorter for all this information they're kind of chopping up and throwing at you, but it was actually over 2 hours, and that was kind of a dislike of mine, is that it was a little more overkill than I expected, no pun intended. But I would have loved to see this like at an hour and 45 maybe, because I'm not gonna lie guys, there was a scene of dialogue where I just closed my eyes because this scene went on for like 5 minutes of just dialogue between Hellboy and his dad, and it was so damn boring, and it was just them bickering back and forth. Oh my god, I was just dreading this review because I was like, if this is what the movie's gonna be like, this is so trash. But fortunately for me, we did get our spurts of just high energy action scenes with a lot of cliche kind of rock music thrown behind it, kind of like what they did with Suicide Squad. So I mean, you get your bolts of energy of action, like I said, and plenty of gore. If you guys are a gore hound, they definitely amped up the extreme gore in this film up to 11, so you guys will not be, you know, dissatisfied with any of that shown on the screen. Lots of killings, lots of just people getting ripped apart, and gross creatures, like I said. So it definitely failed the horror fan in me, and there was definitely a few times where I went, oh, when I saw something crazy happen on screen. Now, jumping to our new Hellboy of David Harbour. I'll just say he did pretty good for working with what he had. The source material was there. The writing was not so great. So the Hellboy that I remember back in 2004, played by Ron Perlman, that guy nailed it to a T. So it's really hard to kind of fill those boots. Of course, you know, the speech, the dialogue is changed up a bit for this character, but I just felt like the writing was not witty. It was just very lazy, and it just wasn't hitting at all. I laughed and I maybe chuckled like twice in a 2 hour movie where I felt like was intended was like every like maybe 5-10 minutes, because Hellboy does get a lot of screen time, even though they do focus a lot on these side characters and the whole development of the Blood Queen story, which is actually a pretty cool story. It's very cliche, you know, the whole Armageddon type of thing, and her summoning her minions and stuff like that. But we did get a lot of time with Hellboy and his friends, pretty much. This is Hellboy and friends is what it is. So kind of something that you saw in the Golden Army. You know, it's just kind of the recycled material, because there's not really much to play with other than more and more villains trying to take over the world. Now, even though I said there was a lot of high action scenes and gore and stuff like that, there was a lot of horrendous CGI and green screen that I felt if they would have spent a little more time on, it could have made the movie look a lot cleaner, guys. Kind of like when we first saw that blue genie when the CGI was not done for the Aladdin teaser. Oh my God, how much did the internet tear that apart? That was kind of like what was going on in this. And it wasn't even extensive CGI. It was a CGI helicopter that obviously looked like a CGI helicopter. Just fly a damn helicopter in there at regular speed. It doesn't have to be fast, crazy motion, because you can't do it in real life. Make it lifelike. It's an object. It's not even a creature. The creatures looked more convincing than a CGI helicopter. So just one example, guys. And just a side note, I thought it was really funny, but Hellboy does say to one of his friends, he says, "Don't believe everything you read on the internet." And it's so ironic, guys. This is the score that Rotten Tomatoes gave this film. And it definitely fits, guys, all right? So definitely believe what you read about this film on the internet. Also, the character of the Blood Queen, played by Mila Jovovich, I feel like she doesn't really have too much acting ability range. She always plays someone that's really either badass or just kind of evil. I mean, we saw her in the whole Resident Evil series, so if you guys are used to the Resident Evil franchise, she definitely plays kind of the same character in this. I thought she was okay. I mean, she could have been more menacing, but she just ultimately was not scary, guys. Even though she was doing scary witch type things, it just wasn't believable as far as kind of the Queen of Hell is what she was. I felt like they could have put someone else in that role to kind of invoke a little more emotion out of us. Kind of like how they did Hela in Thor Ragnarok. I felt like she was a character that was pretty evil herself, and they portrayed it a lot better in that film. So all those gripes aside, guys, did I have fun with this movie? Like I said, spurts of energy. I definitely kind of went in this ultimately when the opening credits started and we got our first scene of some luchador action. I'll just say that. I was like, okay, what's the big deal? Hellboy is Hellboy. This looks like it's going to be a fun, wild time. I kind of know what I'm getting myself into. And then we started getting more into about 30 minutes in. 40 minutes in, an hour, and I was like, okay, this is a disaster. Even with the spurts of energy, guys, it did not hold my interest. Like I said, I almost fell asleep in one of these damn scenes that didn't hold my interest, and I just thought it was boring, and I kind of predicted what was going to happen next, and it was just ultimately not good, guys. Even the final payout at the end, not good whatsoever. So overall, guys, I gotta give Hellboy 2019 a fat 5 out of 10, saying I wouldn't even watch this, guys, at home in the theater. Sorry, I gotta do it. I gotta give it a 50%, a huge fat F.
I mean, I came in peace. It's not my fault. I mean, I'm a strong woman.
All right, guys, did you see Hellboy yet? Or are you planning to watch it this weekend? Or are you guys gonna wait for it to come on VOD or physical? Let me know in the comments below, guys. And if you guys did like my review, please smash that like button. And make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe and bell notification to always get notified about content like this. All right, guys, make sure you guys are following me on my social medias, on Twitter and Instagram at Flix Talk Podcast. Once again, I'll leave all that information down below, guys. And we're on iTunes, Castbox, and Google Play Music. So make sure you guys open up your podcast app and make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast and take me on the road with you. All right, guys, I'm gone. Till next time, thank you so much for checking out my review. Peace.